Zhang Yi pretended not to understand the accusations flung at him, replying with a casual "what's wrong?"
I didn't do anything wrong, while Lin Caning, frantic about the endless snowstorm and dwindling provisions, urged him to send the lavish alternate dimension meals, steak and Australian lobster, to win Fang Yuqing's favor. Zhang Yi scoffed at the suggestion, likening it to begging, and declared that the food was just enough for me, a statement that only inflamed Lin Caning's fury. She pressed him for the delicacies, accusing him of insincerity toward Yuqing, but Zhang Yi responded with a detached "oh," tossed his phone aside, and ignored her further, leaving Lin Caning seething over his cold dismissal. Unwilling to accept defeat, Lin Caning spun a tale to Fang Yuqing, claiming she had only contacted Zhang Yi to secure supplies. Fang Yuqing, her face ice-cold, rebuffed the notion of any relationship with Zhang Yi and warned Lin Caning not to mention him again. Undeterred, Lin Caning nudged Yuqing toward using Zhang Yi as a pawn, suggesting they exploit his resources while the snow made outside foraging impossible. Yuqing, after a brief pause, sent a hurried message to Zhou Pang, a fellow Walmart employee and one of her many suitors, who arrived within minutes bearing a backpack brimming with food from the warehouse. He pledged unwavering obedience, and Yuqing thanked him with a fleeting smile before turning her scornful gaze back on Zhang Yi, dismissing him as a mere lapdog unworthy of her attention. Meanwhile, the building's interior grew unbearably cold, the air conditioning could not stave off sub-zero temperatures, and the residents' refrigerators had emptied after 2 days of freezing. Aunt Lin continued to post optimistic messages in the group chat, urging cooperation despite the worsening blizzard, while the occupants whispered anxieties about starvation and hypothermia.
Zhang Yi, insulated within his fortified 24th floor apartment, observed the panic with detached amusement.
His preparations, 200mm aerospace-grade alloy walls, bulletproof doors, climate control, and a cavernous stockpile of fuel, generators, and alternate dimension provisions, kept him comfortable.
Chen Zhanghao, still crippled by his leg injury, kept a wary distance, his henchmen temporarily holding back after a recent lesson in futility.
The children in the building, drenched and feverish, struggled to survive the cold without adequate heating. Inside his sanctuary, Zhang Yi passed the time gaming, browsing professional manuals on medicine and militia tactics, and maintaining his physical regimen with top-tier gym equipment. He relished a roast duck from Bianyufang on the third morning, noting the clock and murmuring, "It's about time, the show is about to begin." At that moment, the mobile chat group erupted with frantic messages, signaling the next wave of tension as the snowstorm pressed on and the residents' fragile alliances strained under the relentless cold. The night before the third day of the endless blizzard, Zhang Yi stayed awake, waiting for the moment he had long anticipated. When the city's power grid finally collapsed, the darkness spread like a blanket over the Uelu residential area, and the water supply followed suit, leaving every household without heat, light, or running water. Zhang Yi, already prepared, flicked on 2 silent generators that hummed beneath his fortified 24th floor apartment, instantly restoring electricity to his sanctuary while the world outside fell into cold silence. He opened his phone, scrolling through a flood of frantic messages from the neighborhood chat, each pleading for power, water, and warmth, but he merely sneered, his own supplies untouched. Aunt Lin, known in the group as Lin Dama, tried to project optimism, yet the panic in her messages grew palpable. She broadcast a harsh decree, claiming the neighborhood committee now held authority, warning that non-cooperation would invite police intervention. The tone shocked the residents, who had expected only aid, not intimidation. Behind the stern words, Lin's own desperation was evident. She clutched 3 thick blankets, shivering as the indoor temperature plummeted below -30 degrees Celsius. Her grandson, Xiaohu, whispered from beneath the covers, "Grandma, why is it so cold outside?" prompting Lin to reassure him with a trembling voice, promising that their parents would soon return.
Zhang Yi observed the chaos with detached amusement.
He knew Lin's history of exploiting crises for personal gain, recalling how she once swindled supplies from neighbors. Yet he chose not to expose her deceit, finding no personal stake in the suffering of the other residents. He turned on his television, resumed his video game, and let the chat's panic roll by. The generators in his apartment supplied enough power for his devices, while his hidden warehouse held an enormous cache, 2 silent generators, centuries of gasoline, solid alcohol, and a staggering 500 tons of tap water plus tens of thousands of tons of bottled water and beverages. He also possessed enough spare batteries to keep phones alive long after the grid's death, a luxury the others could not afford. The broader disaster unfolded beyond the building's walls. Nationwide, hydroelectric plants froze, thermal stations stalled from staff shortages, and only a few nuclear facilities continued to feed electricity exclusively to government departments. The authorities, overwhelmed by a snowstorm described as a once-in-100,000 years event, could offer no rescue, leaving ordinary citizens to fend for themselves. Residents complained about the impossibility of heating their homes, drinking snow, and accessing food as the snow blocked doors in supermarkets. Their phones, though still functional thanks to advanced battery tech, would soon die without external power, sealing their isolation. In the midst of this collapse, Zhang Yi remained a picture of comfort. The climate control in his apartment kept the temperature between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius, the fireplace crackled, and charcoal reserves waited for use. He continued his daily firearms training, tended to his stockpiles, and savored a roast duck from his alternate dimension pantry, announcing that the show was about to begin as the chat erupted with frantic messages. While the city outside froze, his fortress stood untouched, a stark contrast between survival and desperation. Zhang Yi lounged on the carpet of his fortified 24th floor apartment, the room a pocket of warmth at 27 degrees Celsius while the city outside was locked in a relentless blizzard. He ate imported snacks and played his game, the glow of the screen the only companion he needed. The power grid had collapsed days ago, leaving most of Tianhai shivering in sub-zero temperatures. Only minimal electricity survived for charging phones or boiling water, and high-energy devices were useless. Inside his bulletproof sanctuary, Zhang Yi felt detached, his only concern the preservation of his supplies and his own safety, not the suffering of the neighbors huddling in the freezing corridors. The residents' WeChat group erupted with panic as temperatures in the building's other units fell to -50 or 60 degrees Celsius. Chen Zhanghao, whose leg had been broken in a previous encounter with Zhang Yi, dragged his severed limb through the snow-filled hallway, his body trembling from the cold. Fever spiked among the occupants, some reaching 39 degrees Celsius and others exceeding 40 degrees Celsius, yet no one possessed ibuprofen or any medication, and venturing outside for supplies was impossible. Zhang Yi observed the misery with a cold satisfaction, reasoning that letting them freeze was a more pleasant fate than shooting them outright. Aunt Lin, the self-appointed head of the neighborhood committee, seized the chaos to issue a stern broadcast. Tagging every household, she claimed an official decree required the collection and uniform redistribution of all supplies, warning that any family who resisted would be purged by the organization. Her message was a thinly veiled threat, designed to coerce the timid into surrendering food and drink. The tone provoked immediate backlash. Wang Min, a thrifty housewife on the 15th floor, and son Jichao shouted objections, questioning the fairness of confiscating already scarce provisions. Yet other families, desperate or fearful, echoed Aunt Lin's call for solidarity, creating a volatile split within the chat. Zhang Yi remained silent, his eyes never leaving the screen, while the chat devolved into heated arguments. Aunt Lin, however, turned her attention directly to him, sending a private message that referenced his role as a warehouse manager and his previous acquisition of 3 truckloads of supplies. She appealed to his kindness, promising that the community would remember his generosity once the storm passed. The message was a calculated move to break his isolation and force him to contribute, leveraging his known stockpiles and the desperation of the residents. Zhang Yi's plan to merely watch the drama unfold was now threatened by her personal targeting. The episode left the building's social fabric frayed. While Zhang Yi continued his detached existence, the power outage persisted, the cold remained lethal, and the residents faced a new internal pressure from Aunt Lin's authoritarian edicts. The conflict between self-preservation and communal survival sharpened, setting the stage for further confrontations as the blizzard raged on and supplies grew ever more precious.